Good, lovely morning, you guys, and welcome back to another episode of Milking in the Morning with Lee and Amber. This morning we are going to continue on in the book of James, and we're going to be going through James chapter 1, verses 19 through verse 27. So Waylon's going to read for us, and then we'll talk about it.
My dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry, because human anger does not produce the righteousness that God desires. Therefore, get rid of all moral filth and the evil that is so prevalent, and humbly accept the word planted in you which to save you.
That's kind of straight up instruction for life there.
I mean that's one of the good things about James is you don't really have to think about it a whole lot. He's pretty straightforward in his instruction, and he tells us how we should be living and how we shouldn't be living. And that verse specifically is basically just saying that
slow to speak. That's why God gave you 2 ears, 1 mouth. You should listen twice as much as you talk.
And also that like nothing good comes out of an angry outburst. So move on, Waylon Cronister.
Do not merely listen to the word and also deceive yourselves. Do what it says. Anyone who listens to the word but does not do what it says is like someone who looks at his face in a mirror, and after looking at himself goes away and immediately forgets what he looks like. But whoever looks intently into the perfect law that gives freedom and continues in it, not forgetting what they heard but doing it, they will be blessed in what they do.
We should be doers of the word, not just hearers of the word.
The law of God gives what?
But whoever looks intently into the perfect law that gives freedom and continues in it.
So we shouldn't look at the law or God's rules for life like they're holding us. So we shouldn't look at the law of God as something that's holding us back, or, oh, well, God says you can't do this and God says you can't do that, because if you truly understand what Jesus did for us, then you understand that he gives us the freedom to live a life that is pleasing to him. And when we do that and we follow his word and we live in his ways, that will bring blessings to us. Before I was saved, I was like, oh, well, that's just a bunch of rules. But then, like, after I was saved and I truly understood what God did for me, then I've never felt like his rules or his laws were a burden unto me. Does that make sense?
It does, until you get mad.
Oh yeah. Even so, I know that it's not a good thing. Nothing good comes out of an angry outburst, right? That's really just us trying to manipulate people with our actions to get the outcome that we want from whatever situation that we're in. And yes, that is a learned thing, and we all have to work hard at it. Move on, brother.
Those who consider themselves religious yet do not keep tight rein on their tongues deceive themselves, and their religion is worthless. The religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultlessness is this: look to after orphans and widows in their distress, and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world.
So some of the good things that it's telling us to do there is to care for other people. And God has created us in such a way that when we do care for other people, it brings us joy, more joy typically than other things in our lives. It just shows that that's kind of what God created us for, to be servants and to care for other people and lift them up. And I just think it's cool how we get a lot of joy out of that.
The word says you got to keep tight rein on your tongue. If you spin off the mouth all the time and spout off stuff you shouldn't, you're just ruining your witness in front of other people.
Yeah.
So they think, what's this guy? He's supposed to be a Christian. He acts like that. Why would I want to be a hypocrite like that?
Not only that, it says you're fooling your own self.
Yep. So
we need to be better at being doers of what God says and keeping a tight rein on our mouth.
I have that problem.
So that we ourselves are trying to live a pure life, something that is acceptable to God. Like the last important thing on that, I think, is that it says not to be polluted by the world. And so anything that's not God honoring or is not a righteous way of living that the world deems okay, we have to be really careful with choosing to be a part of something or not to be a part of something. And we have to ask ourselves, is it God glorifying? And is it something that is going to edify our lives or the lives of the people around us? Like TV, music, who our friends are. Why are you milking my finger? You weirdo. You want to comment on that, Lee? You could talk about how you gave up your phone years ago.
Yeah, I kept getting stuff coming through on my phone. It shouldn't have been there, so I nailed it to a tree like, what, 3 years ago, 4 years ago?
He's always talking on a landline, though.
Well, I just think that proves, you know, where his heart was, and that he was willing to give up something that's such a cultural norm, to have a phone, to live a more holy life, and so that, you know, he didn't have those temptations right in his face.
And I hadn't done anything wrong, and Satan kept making it look like I had.
Well, you know, even on my phone, I haven't given up my phone, but I do keep a tight rein on what I allow on my phone. But like, even on my phone, stuff pops up that shouldn't be there, and I report stuff all the time. And like, I delete stuff all the time, and I click on the filter and tell it that I don't want to see things, and it still pops up. So it doesn't really matter. Like, nobody's going to convince me that on a cell phone that it really matters what kind of content you're looking at, because there's people that are sending that out to every phone number that they can get a hold of. And so, yeah, just be really careful with what you do, and if you can't be careful on it, give it up. You might look like a weirdo to everybody else, but God will honor that.
All right, that's going to wrap this one up.
We thank you guys for hanging out with us this morning, and we will see you guys in the next one. Bye. Miss Honey Girl, how are you? Honey Girl, you got your own now, huh?